what I don't like about what's going on is I just view this as, well, let's watch the Democratic Party commit suicide. And like, I've been a Democrat most of my life. I kind of view myself as outside it, but I don't like watching the Democrats just commit. And what I see is most of the country doesn't really, at this point, given the fraud, waste, and abuse we know is there, 90% of the country is like, get rid of that fraud, waste, and abuse. And I just view this as yet another example of the progressive left boxing themselves into a side dance. Now, what the progressive left should be doing is saying, okay, Elon, you're clearly the most qualified person in the world to do something like this. We want to dialogue with you about how you're doing and what are you doing. I don't believe that's actually what happened. And again, I like Elon. I know I think he's obviously the most important builder in the world. And I just think, if you want to say my former side, I don't believe that they're actually engaging. I think it's like another dance where I'm supposed to say, of course, like whatever. It's like there's this one issue where I might, and then you get boxed into you cannot solve the problem. And then I would say, what is the biggest problem in this society? Biggest problem in this society from my perspective is legitimacy of our institutions. Why aren't they legitimate? They're not legitimate because, okay, do any of you really believe that 99% of your taxpayer dollars are being spent? But last and not least, and probably arguably most importantly, there's two revolutions happening. One is transparency and one is AI. Okay, so why is it that we do not know where every penny of our money goes? Like, how do you explain that to people? And by the way, slightly more technically, what large language models do is they mean you can go into the contracts and see exactly what happened. So in the past, we couldn't do this. Now we can. The right response is, we want this to happen. We want to happen. We want to be involved in the dialogue. The real response is, it feels like the people criticizing Elon don't want it to happen. And this is going to destroy those people.
Yes, for the past few weeks, I have seen how members of Congress are panicking. That is to tell you, some are actually guilty because they will find out something about them. When you take a look at this Palantir CEO, he's putting out points just appropriately the way I expected. I didn't want to react on this. White House press secretary had this to say, pertaining to DOGE. For decades, leaders in America have pledged to address the rampant waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government, only to end up doing nothing while watching the crisis grow even worse. But where others face, President Trump is delivering major reforms are underway. Democrats could embrace this and pretend like everything was cool. They have been ranting everywhere on social media and coming out on the street to demonstrate. They don't even realize what is happening.
I've been fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax dollars and their hard-earned Social Security checks. So I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the DOGE team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify three things. Number one, to identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number two, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving that money. And number three, to protect the integrity of this system for hardworking Americans who have been paying into it their entire lives. So rest assured, to all of the people watching your show tonight, if you paid into the system honestly, you will continue to receive your Social Security checks. Do not buy into the lies from the legacy fake news media who are trying to fear you and scare you into believing otherwise. This is what we've seen them do about President Trump for years with every promise that he has made. And he's going in there to protect your hard-earned money. That is the ultimate goal.
By the way, Elon Musk has no executional mandate. He can just, he's unique, he's got his own international broadcast network called X. He just finds these issues, He 48 hours publishes them, and you read them, and every American goes, "What is this?"
That way. I've checked the site.
Let me to that
No, there's
point,
no executional rights.
To that point, he is using X, and he is using the website DOGE, and you can go on the website and sort of track some of it.
It doesn't always tell you what the thing was.
But here is something that struck me and that has kind of come up recently.
Take a look at this. Elon Musk is trying to access your personal bank and tax data. The world richest man should not and cannot be able to snoop around your personal finances, period. End of story. Elon Musk retweeted this. He is not trying to snoop around my personal finances. He's trying to snoop around yours because you get paid with taxpayer money and should be subjected to these types of audit on a regular basis to flush out obvious conflict of interest. The person who replied to this is on point. I was amazed when I saw this. This is the kind of reply I expected. These are the people claiming, oh, Elon Musk wants to do this with your personal. Tell me what Elon Musk wants to do exactly. Let me know. Elon Musk has security clearance for a very long time. He was part of PayPal. He had a lot of this information. So it is only now that Elon Musk is going to do this. Or what exactly are these people claiming?
I put up with it.
Well,
and by the way, egg prices are supposed to come down, not airplanes.
Well, let me say someplace that could really use a lot of cutting. Elon has very many what do you call it?
Government contracts.
Yeah. I think, because I don't remember, maybe y'all heard it, but I don't remember looking for an armored car. And I don't remember, I don't care what it looks like. I don't remember asking for it. I don't know why I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
I want to know, when did I say, hey, we need another agency next to NASA?
Yeah.
So when did we start paying for his stuff?
You talking about SpaceX overseeing FAA?
No. He's going to be cutting NASA.
Yeah.
That's the competition. So what is the real deal here?
Money.
If we want to cut some money, let's cut some of these.
Follow
I'm okay
the money.
with that.
Follow the money.
Because we have to pay for it. You are paying for everything he sends up that comes back down, that falls back down and breaks up. That's out of our pockets. We'll be right back.
But one of the things he is excellent at, and the media takes the bait often, is he writes himself into every story.
Yes, Alisa is making sense to a certain point, and this Kathleen the few will never accept. Before Trump coming into office, like I said at the beginning of this video, Trump knew exactly what he would do on day one. He knew exactly what he would do. He knew exactly what he would do, the first 15 days. So Kathleen the few sitting here and ranting like, oh, Trump is doing this. There is nothing that is too fast. He came in with a strategy, and that's how it's supposed to be. You have limited time as president. You don't have much time there to sit there and you're wasting time. Democrats don't understand. Take, for example, when Democrat came with this lawfare against Trump, that was during a presidential campaign. Biden's term was almost getting over. I believe if you want to see Trump doing this, it will be now when things are so early. So if we want to drag it, we will not take to the end of his term. He understands this exactly. Reason you saw Democrat melting down everywhere like, oh, they didn't persecute Trump. Oh, this one doesn't happen. That is what I saw. Because they didn't know how to, to go about certain issues. If you see clips after this is just for the algorithm. It helps the channel in a way I can't explain here.
A bully and a thug who is the president of the United States, U.S., it's everywhere.
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits.
A chance to see what happens when you take a business approach to the government in the White House. We're seeing right now with this whole U.S. aid thing, where they're uncovering massive amounts of corruption.
And also, I got to say, don't you agree? I totally agree.
Essential.
Early on, immediately.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
To her.
The EU does not treat the U.S. fairly on trade and that he has some big complaints. Is that true?
Right? And it doesn't mean that we should sit and pretend that it's suddenly okay, that this new presidency is just going to keep on keeping on. That is not the case. And
awful things have happened. So and sparks move things. And it doesn't matter how much water you have.
Future president and his gag
are somebody in policy.
The city of the Pacific Palisades is burning. And, I flew here last night. I was on a plane.
You getting water to areas that need...
He's been trained his whole life to do.
What do we do?
Right now you're looking straight. Remember it.
As a country about and then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know.
Jim Jordan.
Josh Green, the governor.
Watch the news or talk.
Now look, I have a lot of...
The Democratic Party has about everything.
The next department that appears to be on the chopping block is the Department of Education. Just earlier today...
Oh, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I...
In common, they're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
Is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires.
On Team Chiefs. Literally right next to us was Taylor Swift. Those are boo.
Oh, thank you. Hey, now speaking of church, can I say something?
I do not care that Elon Musk is unconventional.